You can find an Uber basically anywhere. Well, that's not true. You can only find it in these 70 countries. But with 10,000 cities under its belt, Uber is the unquestionable leader of ride hailing. In fact, Uber has 37% of the global market share, the highest for any company. But there's something wrong. All of Asia Pacific only accounts for 12% of Uber's revenue. So, why the hell does Asia hate Uber? With a bottomless wallet of investments and years of experience, you would think that Uber would find it easy to woo their Asian audience. And most importantly, their services are tried and tested in America and are made to be consistent throughout the world. With the same app, you can book the same types of rides and make the same awkward small talk with your driver anywhere in the world. What's not to like? Well, what if I told you that that is their biggest flaw? To understand this, let's go to China. Uber saw a country that ran on Alipay and WeChat for every transaction and decided to only allow card based payments. Because that's what worked in America. Using maps from Baidu, which is a leading tech giant in China, why do that when you can have Google Maps, a service that barely functions in China? What's that? Users aren't using your app because the competitor is cheaper and is far easier to use? Wasting $1 billion a year on discounts should do the trick. On the other hand, Uber's local competitor Didi knew how the country worked. Apart from not making the same mistakes as Uber, they also knew how to stay on the good side of authorities. And in China, that's very, very important. After billions lost and seeing that Didi had 87% market share, Uber decided to call a truce and yeet it out of China in 2016. Now, while Uber may have shot itself in the foot in China, they were totally unprepared for the 4D chess moves by Grab in Southeast Asia. Grab started as a small startup in Malaysia. They knew that they couldn't beat the big daddy of ride hailing without being innovative. So they decided on using a simple strategy called hyper-localization, which in simple terms means customizing your services to the local needs. Because, Bangkok is slightly different from San Francisco. When cars couldn't find a way in Jakarta's traffic jams, Grab introduced Grab Bike. Everybody used cash for payments in Asia, so they allowed payments by cash. When riders felt unsafe taking cabs in Asia, they partnered with local authorities to conduct background checks and gave their drivers defensive driving courses. And since most drivers didn't know how to use smartphones, they even held weekly classes to teach them. Needless to say, Uber didn't do many of these things. Uber left Southeast Asia, selling its business in 8 countries to Grab, which is now the region's largest super app with a $40 billion valuation. Uber's current and longest battle is with Ola Cabs in India. To get the obvious out of the way, Uber used only cards when 80% of all transactions in India were by cash. Genius, I know. Ola, on the other hand, got 50% of its revenue from cash. To prevent scams, Ola introduced secret codes to be shared by riders with their drivers. Uber added the same feature just 2 years later. In a country with people from very poor to very rich, Ola offered a variety of rides from bikes and autos to sedans and SUVs. The options on Uber were fairly limited. I think you see where this is going. In 2017, Ola accounted for 72% of India's ride-hailing revenue, compared to Uber's sad 21%. Not all is lost though. Uber learned the lesson that if you can't beat them, join them. Uber left China for a 12% stake in Didi, Southeast Asia for a 27.5% stake in Grab, and Russia for a 36.6% share in a merger with Yandex. I just wonder if Uber paid by cash or card only. Anyways, it's clear that a startup's biggest advantage is their local expertise. And if a company wishes to expand to new markets, it better have that or become really good friends with a local player.